bucks only. Putting in work and recipes to all the homies. Yeah, money was the motive. Hood couldn't hold me. 100K made man suckers looking phony. Yeah, cheers to the real.
Yes, sir. So once again, like I wanted to bring up something. I'm out here right now with Kel 5MH. We're breaking things down. We're talking. We chopping it up. We building, man. New year, new things.
Yeah, yo.
So wanted to we bring it back, you know, to graffiti. You know, the haves and have-nots, the toys, the talented, and everyone. The one thing I found funny when you were gonna come up, I figured let me just figure out what are some of the laws and you know the penal code with graffiti. I was really curious. So in London, apparently it's a $7,000 fine, 6 months. I'm like, okay, right? India, it's an $800 fine, 1 year in jail, mandatory. Then I went to Singapore. 8 cane strokes.
Yeah.
Shout out to Michael Peter Fay. That's his name.
Don't know who that is.
He got his 8 whackets.
Well, that's the kid I was just talking about.
Yes, sir.
All right, I didn't know his name, but yeah.
Was sentenced to 6 strokes of the cane for vandalism at the age of 18.
Crazy.
Had the country in the uproar.
Crazy.
So then I was curious. I saw some of the footage, and I'm like, yo, this guy is gonna get it.
Crazy.
Yo.
Yeah, I remember that shit. It was like in the. Do you have a year there?
Yo.
You know what year that was?
I want to say it's 94.
Was it that early?
I think it was.
I thought it was later. But yeah, I remember that shit, man. I remember fucking son got cane. I don't even think he was really like a writer like that either, man.
That's what makes it worse. He was just caught in the moment, drunk, had too
man.
many Presidentes, and was like, I'm going to catch a tag out here. And it was a rat. If that ain't your life.
Man, I don't want to get caned, bro.
Bro, caned?
No.
I don't even want to get what caned? Oh, no. I ain't
So here's what you need to know about the fucking penal code anywhere you're painting. In any country, New York, or... you know, anywhere outside of New York, anywhere in America, or anywhere outside of America. This is what you need to know, and you need to keep this in mind. It's very fucking important. Don't get caught. It's that fucking simple. Don't get bagged. Be careful. Be smart. I mean, listen, yo, you do anything.
That's simple.
You do anything fucking illegal, right? And nothing is bulletproof.
Right.
There's nobody. I don't care what you say. I got this spot. It's super sweet. Blah blah blah. Probably. But there's always, even if it's a 1% chance, there's always a fucking chance shit could go wrong. You can get back.
Yeah.
But for the most part, be smart. Don't get caught. That's my advice.
That makes sense.
You know?
And then I see even in Detroit, they're saying 5 years in jail with a fine. Like what?
But you know that's. Son. I don't think that's.
But New York is a Class A misdemeanor in New York.
But I don't think it's all black and white though, bro. I think it's. You know what I mean? I think it depends on the situation, the scenario,
I agree with you.
The amount of damage.
You got caught with drugs. You got caught with the heater.
What you're actually bombing. You know, listen. If I go across the street and I do a fucking fill-in on a Lafayette handball court,
right?
The third handball court in or some shit, right? And it's this big, and if I get arrested for doing that, I'm not gonna get charged with the same thing as if I did a fucking blockbuster across the fucking doors of City Hall.
So
you understand what I'm saying? So it depends. I think it depends on the situation, the scenario, and I think there's a lot of factors involved. And
they're tallying up. They're keeping the score.
I don't think it's just like, all right, you get bagged for graffiti and it's this amount of time and that's that.
Right. No, I definitely think they're keeping up the damage though, because then they're like, oh, that's about 10,000 in damage.
Well,
20,000 in damage. 30.
They tally, but that's what Vandal Squad does. Vandal Squad builds a case on you.
Fucking Vandal
Right. So
Squad.
they tally damage. So I got bagged in 2001, and that's kind of like when I, VS kind of shut me down, right? Because they harassed me for a long time after that. Mm-hmm. To the point where I was like, here, this is my lawyer's number, call them, and blah, 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 and then they left me alone.
And that should tell a listener what all they need to know. When there is a group of people, right, that the taxpayers are paying for these people, they're called the Vandal Squad, to catch graffiti writers at the end of the day.
Right.
That should tell you that it was a plague. You know what I mean? Like when the taxpayers have to pay for individuals to kind of catch graffiti writers, is letting you know what's going on out here.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, I think Vandal Squad was formed in the like mid 80s.
Tom and Jerry.
Like during the time the train. Yeah, I got bagged by Tom and Jerry, bro.
Let's go backwards.
They're pretty.
There's people don't know. So
Sure.
Let's drop a gem. Who is Tom and Jerry?
So Tom and Jerry are two Vandal Squad officers. They're like kind of, you know, I guess throughout the period of time of VS, there's been like a couple of officers that have become like
AKA,
infamous.
right?
Like they really like they're hard-ons for graffiti and they really fuck with.
Were Tom and
with
Jerry
cats a little
graffiti
extra.
writers?
No, they were VS.
Oh yeah. Okay.
They were cops. They were Vandal Squad. I don't know what the fuck they did. I don't know what the fuck they did before they became
Ex-writers turned cops.
I don't think so, but maybe. But it was like Tom, Jerry DeCero. I forgot exactly what their last names were. Who was who? But yeah, man, they those cocksuckers. They were my first arrest ever.
They were on it, bro. They're taking pictures of everybody's shit.
But
they're fucking.
VS is weird, right? Because VS is like it's as a writer, right? You could sit down and have a conversation with somebody from Vandal Squad and probably have a dope graffiti conversation,
right?
Because they know their shit, bro. They're like they're and I almost think like in a weird way like these they get into that shit because they have like some sort of a weird obsession with it, and they want to fucking like bury themselves in it. And that's, I don't know.
I can see that.
VS is weird.
Yeah, right.
I heard they disbanded, but I'm not sure.
I heard they disbanded, but then again, you know, we're living.
I don't know what's what.
Living in crazy times.
I don't know what to believe with anything anymore.
This is a new year.
Like
no cops in this new year looking like.
Since all, not to say that there wasn't a whole bunch of bullshit being spewed out in the news or whatever before COVID. But since COVID, like, I really don't know what the fuck to believe about anything.
Listen.
Like, I really honestly don't.
I thought 2019 was a crazy year. 2020 was definitely a crazy year. So hopefully in this new year, we're going to have new things, new blessings.
Hopefully, we'll see, bro. I don't know what the fuck to expect.
So I want to throw a name out to you because I always, I put him on like a pendulum as far as graffiti in New York. Dandy. When I say Dandy, what do you think of?
I think Dandy was fucking amazing. I mean, he's before me.
Right.
He's before my generation. I didn't personally get to see all of his shit rolling around firsthand. You know? Like, I started really bombing. Even before I started bombing, I started paying attention to graffiti, like, mid-'80s. And what I paid attention to was kind of local. Mm-hmm. You know? Dandy shit wasn't really rolling through Bensonhurst.
So when we say local, or Bensonhurst, so when we saying local,
so like
I know, but I want the people to get it.
So what local for me is the B line,
right?
So be like, I'm from Bensonhurst, right, which is a stone throw away from Coney Island,
yep,
and Marlborough, and Gravesend, and all that shit. So I came up in Marlborough,
absolutely,
but I grew up, you know, but I lived in Bensonhurst,
right.
So the B train came through my lane. It came through my line. To my knowledge, Dandy didn't have a lot of shit on the B line. But if he did, I didn't see any of it.
Yeah, I didn't really see it.
So like what I used to see on the B line, from the trains is like Cavs, Cento,
wow.
Like, and those dudes are from the Bronx,
right.
Wherever they were hitting trains.
A lot of Map.
Wherever they hit
Map used to smash those
rooftops.
Yeah, but Map
is
there.
later, bro.
Yeah,
like I'm talking about early. I'm talking
early,
like mid.
Yeah.
I'm talking about mid '80s when trains were bombed. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, Map. Shout out to Map. Map is a machine.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm not too fond of the M's. I kind of don't really.
The butterflies.
I've always associated his M's with like
those little flares
with the S's. You remember the old school S's that everybody ever done?
Oh,
with the diamond on top with like the 6 lines. For whatever reason, his throw up reminded me of that S. Like they were in like the same. If somebody were to create like a font, right?
They actually have
around
a
that
font,
S,
but yeah, and
around that S, his M would be the M for me. In my but and then there's a question of like, and I've asked this question to people before: what matters more? A writer that has like a really dope style that don't really do a lot, you know, does a lot of crazy dope canvases or dope black books or maybe like a piece or two here or there, or a writer that's sort of like, I don't want to call Map a toy because I'm not
Got you.
You know, because I don't want him to feel a certain way. But I'm not crazy about his thrall. But he
stuck to it. He didn't change the frequency.
My respect for Map is through the roof because he has been bombing consistently, non-stop,
smashing
since the late 80s.
Yeah.
Like if there was ever a period where there was like 6 months or more where he wasn't bombing, it's because he was locked up or some shit.
Right.
When he was out in the streets, he was bombing. Might have not been the, you know, might have not been the most pleasant shit to the eye for me at least.
Right.
But he was up, and for me that's what's more important.
I agree with you.
That's what's more important because I personally don't think that I'm like the craziest, dopest, freshest writers, you know, like style wise. Like I think there's a lot of dudes. I could name like I could probably sit here and name like fucking 50 to 100 people who I think are fresher than me style wise.
So, but what's more than style or consistency?
But
like,
you gotta bomb, bro.
Yeah. Okay.
You gotta bomb. You gotta get up. You gotta get up. I don't care what your shit looks like. If it's toy, put it up. If it's dope. And you know what? If you're toy and you start bombing and you're toy and you're bombing a lot, you're gonna get better. Yo, there's a kid Flash that's up right now that's been getting up for a little while, right?
Yeah, shout out to Flash. I'm seeing that. Yep.
He's a, you know.
Oh wow.
Yeah, well that's neither here nor there. That's Map's business.
Yeah.
420, stop it. Cut it out. You should know better. No, listen, but so yeah, fuck man. See, you stupid, you fucking threw me off. What was I saying?
I got thrown off myself. Way to go there, 420.
Big dummy. No, but Map is, shout out to Map, bro.
Yo, shout out to Map. So we mentioned
consistency is important, bro. Bombing is important.
We mentioned Dandy.
It's more important than style wise.
And I say that because the older OG in my family
you ever peep Dandy's book? I'm sorry, bro.
Yeah.
You ever peep Dandy's book? Yeah. You ever peep that there's a subliminal shout out to me in the book? So in the book somewhere, right? So in the book somewhere in the text, they made it a point to write. Maybe it's not just a shout out to me.
Right.
I don't want to be like all on my own cocky, egotistical shit. It might not just
Stevie
be me.
Steve, can I get another brewski?
But there's a part in the book where they give like a disclaimer, and they say that any Kel that you see in these pages is the original Kel and no other one, or something to that effect.
Dope.
You know, I verbatim, that's what it said. But something to that effect. So I'm like, damn, like who, like, they're obviously directing at the specific, personal people, and I'm like, damn, like, really, like, did I shake the waves that much that you need to actually clarify that? Because anybody that's a real writer, I don't think you need to clarify.
No.
That who's who. I don't think anybody that really writes would ever confuse me for the original Kel, which is Kel first, who you know bombed the trains and did damage. And then there's a bunch of other Kels.
But you're talking what year? You're going back.
Well, he was before me.
You're going back 80.
Yeah, he was in the 80s. He was in the 80s. I don't know exactly what year, but he was in the 80s. You just put him in that decade.
Yeah.
You know, he was an 80s train writer.
Right.
Dope.
Yeah.
Skills. Super shout out to Kel first. Kel 139.
Skills.
139. Like, yo, shout out, bro. I would never, ever try to be that man, or try to fake the funk like I'm that man, or try to, you know, fake the funk like I'm holding his. I'm me, bro. I'm Kel 5 and Mate.
And that's the thing about hip hop.
That's it.
Yo, we pride ourselves on originality, right? Whether it be MCing or whether it be graffiti, I like when you look at both sides of the coin. I even see graffiti writers are even worse than MCs.
You know there was a. You
don't got the style and your own originality. You know what I mean? Like,
you know there was a If I tell you Havoc and Prodigy, who group is that? Who's that?
Havoc, come on, man.
Havoc and Prodigy, what group is that?
Mob, man.
Mob Deep.
All day.
But there was another Havoc and Prodigy. Did you notice?
No, I did not.
South Central Cartel. I want to say that's the name. I think it's South Central Cartel.
Shout out.
There was
to
a
them.
group, and they were Havoc and Prodigy. They were two dudes. Havoc and Prodigy.
Cali?
From South Central.
I would assume.
You know, yeah. Yeah, man. They were like some, you know, like gang bang motherfuckers with their like funky weird braid hairs.
Well, hip hop went through a weird phase where everything was just gang related.
But listen, bro, like it's unless you write something really strange, like ear snot. Like, shout out to Iraq.
Shout out to Iraq.
Right? But like, unless you write something really strange like that, there's gonna be somebody else that writes your fucking same name, bro.
But yet, graffiti writers always
and
running a beef.
like you
There's
pick
always
like,
beef for graffiti
then
writers.
you pick like a word or something like fucking power or like bomb. Nigga, there's gonna be another writer. There's gonna be somebody else that writes bomb.
That's a fact.
And even if it's not in fucking New York, it's so Kel. As far as I know, right? There's a Kel. Obviously, there's who I just mentioned, Kel first, who's the original A Million Props dude.
Right.
That's him.
Right.
Then there's me. Then there's another Kel from Brooklyn. Right? Who I don't know how much he got up, but there's a Kel from Brooklyn. And the funny shit is he actually just hit me up on Instagram, and he's from Avenue U, which is not even like, bro, where's Avenue U? In relation to us, right? In relation, for the audience that doesn't know, me and the Wild Coyote over here, we grew up in the same, like, pretty much in the same neighborhood.
Absolutely.
Right? So like we from the same hood. So this Avenue U is basically our hood also.
That's it.
It's right there. There was actually a cat that wrote Kel from Avenue U. And shout out to Son.
That's
I think
funny.
his name was Nicky because he just hit me up and shit.
Shout out to everybody on the U. You know what I mean?
Shout out to Nicky Kel.
Word up, man.
No, but then there's a Kel from Chicago that I think his like crew is he actually pushes an ecstasy, which is different from JA's crew.
Oh.
And then there's I think his crew is like J. I don't know. I don't want to say it because I'll probably fuck it up.
Is there any with all these different states? Is there a difference for someone outside the culture? Right, when we start getting into like LA Graph, New York Graph,
there's another
Chicago,
Kel from LA.
Is there
from
a different
crew called CBS?
Could someone outside the culture tell where it's from?
Crew.
Could you tell? Does New York Graffiti have a certain calling card where you're like, that's New York Graffiti?
I think so in the sense of, but I think if you're privy to like looking at graffiti styles and paying attention and I think I think a New York writer that's been bombing for a minute,
right?
They could tell like where another cat is from. Like obviously there's
whether it be Philly or Oakland,
especially with the internet, right? It kind of like spreads it out where you could be from fucking Switzerland and get influenced by somebody from fucking Philadelphia. Prior to the internet, how to fuck with somebody in fucking Switzerland or Germany or wherever the fuck know that somebody in North Philly, what they write.
Right.
How would you know that? Prior to, without the internet. The internet creates like a big bridge of knowledge for everybody to like see. So
but you could definitely tell though, right?
So well, you can tell, but then there's like, if you're really a master at it and you really study, like say you're from Germany and you study this dude that was like a local writer in Connecticut and had like this
certain flair,
Connecticut style,
right?
Whatever, I don't know what the fuck a Connecticut style is. I'm just saying. But like say, you study that ill style and then you start bombing Germany or wherever the fuck I said the person was from. You start bombing that place with that type of style.
Got you.
Right? So that's the internet that did that. Because without the internet, you wouldn't know what the fuck this person wrote like. They're like 3 million miles away. Across the world. How would you know? So the internet bridged that shit. Bridged like styles where you can like pick up somebody else's shit from another city or whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Makes sense.
So if you're really, really a master at studying and, practicing crafts, you could be from fucking wherever, where I was saying?
Houston or Switzerland or
whatever.
Right.
You could be from there and you could fucking master somebody from New York.
Right.
And I could look at that shit and be like, oh, that motherfucker must have grew up in like Brownsville or some shit. He got a Brownsville style.
Right.
He got a fucking Crown Heights style. He got a Kingsbridge style or some shit. Like he looks like he came from there.
I feel like New Yorkers have a certain bubble style to them.
but New York has a style.
Right.
Graffiti, New York has a style.
Just like Philly has their own style, right? Is
Philly has a style.
Philly's the
for
creators
sure.
of that long style.
Philly does that.
Who created the long style?
Philly
the long
does them
stretch.
tall tags.
The
Philly
tall
does them
ones,
tall
right?
tags.
Tall
and
tags.
it's crazy because there's a variation of them tall tags too. So maybe like if you're outside of Philly, you're like, oh, Philly does the tall tags. But then there's like,
they stretch with.
I think there's like.
Explain.
See, I don't want to start naming the names.
No,
of the
no. But
towns
what I'm
'cause
saying
I'll
is,
fuck 'em
like,
up, but
like for a listener outside of the realm of graffiti, there are ways, and explain it to them because you could do it better. There are ways, whether it be fat cap, this cap, that cap, holding an angle. There are ways of flaring the can that kind of make this a long style, a short style of. Because someone's not going to hear this that are outside the realm, and they're like, what do you mean?
If you're trying to get those flares,
right,
it's like, it's kind of like close to the wall at the bottom of the tag, and then, like, you kind of
flares out.
So, like, all right, when you're painting, right, if you want to get like a thinner line, aside from whatever caps, thin caps, fat caps, this caps, whatever cap you have on, if you want to get a thinner line, you're gonna be closer to the wall. Quicker like whip.
Yep.
Right. If you want to get a fatter line, you're gonna pull the can back and
further away, the distance,
and then you get the flares. Right. Personally, I'm not with the flares. I don't do flare tags. I don't like flare tags. I don't know. That's not. There's a couple of New York heads that mastered that shit and made it fresh. Like ZE had fresh flare tags.
Yeah, he damn sure did.
But for the most part, I'm not.
I hear you.
I'm not really with that.
I hear you.
Tagging might have not been my strong point anyway. I'm a throw up cat, bro. I like to look at throw ups. I like to look at fill-ins.
I think it's the easier way to get the eyeballs, right?
More than anything else. Like, I'm a Brooklyn cat, and I think there's been a lot of Brooklyn throw up masters throughout the years.
Okay.
Maybe there's other cats from other boroughs that perfected tags more so. But for me, I've always gravitated more towards throw ups before anything else. Before tags, straight letters, pieces, anything. Pieces are probably last on my totem pole.
Based on what?
Style wise, I prefer to look at really fresh throw ups, and then probably really fresh straight letters, and then a really fresh tag.
Preferred colors?
And then a throw up.
What colors?
I mean, then a piece. Sorry.
What colors?
Any colors, whatever. It doesn't matter,
right?
Simple colors mostly.
When
you're doing a throw up, I don't want to see a throw up with like, and I might be guilty of doing stuff like this in the past. Probably more so on paper, and in black books and shit than actually in the streets. But I don't really want to see a throw up with like fucking 12,000 colors and designs, and I don't want to see that shit, bro. Just do a throw up, do it simple, like black, white filling with a black outline, summer squash,
red, white, black.
Like simple.
Goddamn summer squash always comes up in conversation.
Simple shit. Like don't. Yeah, summer squash. Bro.
God damn, that shit always comes up,
bro. Summer squash is an amazing color.
Fuck.
My favorite paint color of all time is fucking Rusto Harbor Blue.
Rusto, huh?
Rusto Harbor Blue.
So explain people what
farm red outline.
Ooh.
Rusto Harbor Blue filling.
Ooh.
Maybe some white highlights or something depending on the spot. But that was my favorite shit.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. But that wasn't even what mostly what we did was white fillings with black outlines.
Can't go wrong with that.
Bang. White and black.
Bang bang.
Maybe some chrome and black.
Bang.
But those are bomber colors, bro. All that shit, like all of the, like a fluorescent blue, fluorescent green, and with yellow polka dot. Fuck that, bro. Go do a piece. Don't do fillings with that. Like that's once in a while maybe okay, but that can't be your fucking normal steez, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like bombing is bombing. Like it don't have to be clean. It don't have to be, just get your shit off.
So when you say clean, where on your totem pole, how do you feel about rollers?
Rollers are cool depending on how you do them. Like, I would say definitely, we were talking about before about wheat pasting, and I was bringing up Revs and Calls.
Right.
And I was saying,
the masterminds of that shit.
And I was saying how like they really like pop that shit off where like everybody, pays attention to them.
Yeah.
But they were not the originators of that shit. But they're probably the originators of the rollers. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
They caught my eye because when you walk downtown Manhattan, there are some spots that are
they definitely pop that shit off.
They used to have the one on Houston Street, Broadway and Loft. Oh my goodness, on the rooftop.
They had a lot. They had a lot of them. Oof. But how I feel about rollers, I don't know.
Think you're cheating?
No, not at all. I think they're fresh. I think it actually takes a lot of skill to fucking.
What's the other shit they do
to make that shit happen?
There's
there's a chick that does rollers right now. She's from Philly. She writes Texas and gay, and I'm not sure if they're both chicks or what. But I know Texas is a girl for sure, and or a woman, and she gets busy. But her shit, the way they do their shit, they're from Philly. So you were talking about the Philly longhand style,
the long
right?
hand, yeah.
So they kind of do their shit like that, but they have like an outline, and it's just super fucking crisp, bro. Like very, very crispy, and very like it's the good thing about rollers is they're really in your face.
Is it?
Right?
Is there any?
The good thing about what Revs and Cost did when they did their shit straight, like the girl Texas that I'm doing, Texas and Gain, and I think there's a cat, the Stork, that does with them, right? And they do them like in a hand style. So they're more like for writers and only writers. You know, like your average person driving down the highway, they ain't gonna read that shit.
Isn't that what Wild Style is though? I always felt like Wild Style was more for writers.
Yeah, well, yes, it is. So I guess they're like a fucking bombing roller version of Wilds. But they're not. They're tags. They're dope tags with a dope outline. They're
absolutely,
very fresh.
No doubt.
But it's different. So what Revs and Cost did can be seen and recognized by everybody. Not to say it's any less fresh.
New York legends, if you don't know them,
not
check
to say
it.
It's any less fresh. It's very fresh.
Right.
Especially Rev, fucking Revlon, like he's a Brooklyn cat, and this and that. You know, Cost put a sticker over once a month, so I'm not gonna big him up that much. Shout out to Cost, but you know, fuck you, Cost. Nah, but shout out to Cost, though. You know,
I hear it.
You can talk to me whenever you see me about that.
I hear you. You. Legends, man.
Maybe if I didn't appreciate his shit as much, I wouldn't have cared as much about him put a sticker over me. But he put a sticker over me, and I liked your shit, so fuck you.
I hear you, bro.
You know? Shout out to you, but still, fuck you. And talk to me. If you ever meet me, talk to me. I would love to have a conversation with you.
Legends.
I'm with it.
See, that's legend conversation.
Even if it's smoke, I'm with it.
Legend conversation.
Although I'm not looking for smoke.
Legend. So, again, we tune into the art. We tune into the art, the music.
Wait. Let's go back to the rollers.
Yeah, the rollers.
Don't ask me a question.
The rollers. Yeah, the rollers.
So the rollers, right? So I think it's really fast. So what Revs and Cost were doing were more privy to the everyday eye. Like you don't have to write graffiti, but if you roll down the train,
legible,
and you see like it's legible, right?
For a non-hip-hop.
You don't have to try to figure it out. You don't even have to know what it is. You could be like
there's no science to it. It's legible.
You could be like any asshole coming home from work.
Facts.
On a train, you know, rush hour, and look out the window and read that REVS. You understand? Right? You might not be able to read the Texas shit or anybody else because it's like a hand style. You might have to look at it and figure out what it is. I don't know what that is. You might not even know what the Revs is. Maybe that's short for fucking Revlon shampoo or something, and it's an advertisement. You don't know what it is, but you could read it.
Right.
So it hits more people. You know, legible shit hits more people. I remember Med, you know, OG Med. Shout out to him.
Shout out to Med.
You know, that's super OG, and he took me under the wing early. I remember Med, you know, telling me once about Scene UA, and he was telling me that Scene like used to tell him like, I'm not doing graffiti for other graffiti writers, because he used to do a lot of like straight letters and like a lot of shit that was like super
clean,
legible
and clean.
Know, legible is the key word here.
Yep.
You know, that's like the Pee-wee.
Yep.
The Pee-wee's Playhouse.
I want to be able to read it. I gotta read it.
Every time we say legible, everybody screams.
Legible.
No, but yo, so legible is what it came down to, right? So that's what it came down to. So he used to tell me, Scene used to tell him, I'm not doing graffiti for this. I'm doing graffiti because I want everybody to read it.
Makes sense.
So like I said, the asshole coming home from work, he could look out the window, he could see my shit, and he could read it, and this and that, you know. So I think it depends on where you want to go, who you doing it for. You know, you're doing it for, and I'm not even saying that Revs was doing it for everybody, for the public, because I kind of think Revs was doing it for himself.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, but if your shit is legible, everybody can see it. As opposed to, you know, graffiti is really done for fucking graffiti writers. Cause I don't really care about if you don't write graffiti, I don't really care if you walk down the street and don't read my shit. Yo, I have like a you know, my K is right. I have like I did one on a t-shirt. I threw one on a t-shirt a couple months ago, right, and I was pumping them out. My son had one on, and my mother was looking at it, and she was like, "Oh, that's a nice shirt, you know, this and that." And she was like, "What? I swear to God, this is my K throw up." She was like, "Is that a hamburger? Is that a drawing of a hamburger?" Like, how the fuck do you say hamburger? But that's okay though, because it's not for you to see. You don't have to know that it's a K, or that it's a whatever.
It caught your eye regardless.
You don't have to know. It's not. When I'm doing my throw ups, right? When I'm coming up with them, when I'm coming up with my styles, I'm not thinking about you. I'm thinking about another graffiti writer. Like, I'm not thinking about like, oh, is everybody gonna be able to read my shit? You know, it's for other writers. It's like it's a community of people that
absolutely.
Like, you know, you can come in if you want, right? But like, you don't have to be there. You don't have to understand it. It's not
as it should be.
It's not for you.
As it should be.
You know, it's
and people that are listening
writers.
need to take that as a note. Not everything you do in art, whether you're an actor, you're a screenplay writer, not everything you do artistically needs to appeal to this like conglomerate huge audience. Like, sometimes you're in your niche and you do it because you can do it, and on the context of just art, just because it's art. It doesn't have to fucking hit this big audience, man.
Right.
So we're at like the markdown time, more or less.
Oh, you
right?
cut me off.
No, we're trending down. So the 2 or 3 things I wouldn't want to say. Are we? No doubt.
150.
I want $150.
That's how much I'm getting paid for this interview.
150.
I'm not leaving here till somebody gives me $150.
150. Give it to him.
Nah.
But so the one thing I will say is the crew, everyone within the crew is healthy. You know what I mean? Look like you're doing good.
Yes, sir.
We're living in new times. It's a new reality. How does graffiti move forward into the future?
So, in these like pandemic times or whatever, I think it's like a playground for writers. Listen, we already went into one lockdown. I don't know if we're going into another one, but we probably will. You know, it kind of seems like it's floating in that direction.
It's going there.
You know,
mandatory vaccines.
Even if that was the plan from the beginning, it kind of seems like for whatever reason we're heading in that direction, and we might be there. Mm-hmm. When it comes to lockdown again, the writers go crazy. Mm. Anybody that does anything, listen, bro. If you tell everybody got to stay home, and the streets are like 10 times emptier than what they once were. Anybody involved in any kind of criminal activity is like, bing, 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 bing. This is my time to thrive.
I'm popping out.
You understand? Yeah. So like graffiti writers are like, it becomes a playground.
Right. It
turns into like 2020 New York to like 1994 New York.
Right. And that's truth be said.
Maybe even lower. I don't know.
This is how it's kind of looked in the tail end of the year, going into now this new year. It's kind of looked like that regardless. It almost looked like a throwback of the 80s.
Well, I mean, look at all. There's so much shit going on in the city that they're not paying. Graffiti is like minimal. Mm-hmm. It's low. It's low on the fucking
right
on the spectrum of like, you know, what I gotta, you know, it's not priority. By any means, bro. It's not priority. There's a lot of other more important shit going on, so it gets overlooked.
It's
and for a writer, that's like beautiful. Like, oh my God, like you know what I mean? Mm. Then and there's a flip side to that coin too, because I spoke to some cats that are active, young active cats, like heavily active, right? And they're like, you know, I discussed with them like what they felt like in the, you know, them bombing prior to this like whole pandemic shit, and what they felt afterwards, or during it rather, and they almost got bored. It was almost like, damn, there's no like, it's you know I was telling you at the beginning, like with the adrenaline rush, like that's what fueled me. Right. That's what fueled me. So like if graffiti was legal and it was like I might have not been into it ever.
Too easy.
I might have not been into it. Right. Like it's, you know, it's you get attracted to like some sort of this like outlaw culture, and it's like, you know, I think defiance is something in human nature.
I agree with you.
You know, so like if you tell me you can't do this, I'm gonna do that just because you told me I can't. And just because, fuck you. I can't do this. Fuck you. I can do this, and I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna show you I'm gonna do it, and that's that.
Rebel mode.
So now if you were like, oh, you have, you know, the whole city's yours. Do graffiti anywhere you want. It's all good. Then it's like, you know, I can just walk out and I don't have to, you know, look both ways. I don't have to do nothing. I can just walk out and just do my shit freely. It's boring. How long before that gets boring?
Before that gets boring.
Maybe after a little while, maybe, you know, you do like 5 fill-ins, 10 fill-ins, 20 fill-ins, and you're like, oh, this is fucking dope. I don't got to worry about nothing. And then after a while, it's like, all right, you know, it's boring. Like, where's the adventure in this shit?
So
graffiti was adventure for me.
And with that being said, with adventure, right?
I was what's his name? What's the Mark Twain dude that he wrote about? Why am I drawing
Huckleberry Finn?
I was Huckleberry Finn from Brooklyn.
There you
It was adventure. It was all adventure, you know?
There we go. So what, in the sense of adventure and bombing, what, in your opinion, is the more complicated borough to bomb? What's the more complicated borough to bomb and lock it down and say, I king that borough?
I wouldn't say there's one, maybe Staten Island, because it's probably the
I thought you
big...
were going to say the Bronx.
The Bronx could be too. I don't know. It depends, bro. Because the reason why I say Staten Island is because it's probably the most far right borough out of any other boroughs.
So, and when we say far right, we mean, you know, just in the sense of in the sense of political views.
Yes.
And in the sense of
it's a little.
Steer a little,
you know,
on the stricter
I would
side.
say boroughs that have like more of a stronger liberal population,
right?
They might be a little more easy on graffiti,
right?
So it might be a little easier. Plus Staten Island also is probably the most suburban borough out of every other borough. Not to say every part of Staten Island is
it's like baby Brooklyn
super
out there.
Suburban.
So many people.
No, but when I say suburban, I mean like, you know, there's more houses than there is buildings.
Absolutely.
There's more of a suburban area than an urban area. So like the landscape is different. So it might be different on that end. And then also like it's the smaller of the boroughs. So it might be a little bit easier for police to build a case on you and this and that. So it might, in that sense, it might be more difficult. Queens is kind of difficult because it's harder to navigate.
Queens Boulevard is hectic. Shout out to anybody that's bombing Queens Boulevard.
But
that shit is hectic, man.
Just Queens in general is a little bit, I think, a little bit harder to navigate than other boroughs because there's like 37th Ave, 37 Boulevard, 37 fucking street.
Yo, to this day,
37.
yo, thank God I got Waze. I would get lost.
But it's all like right next to one another.
You know, on 38th Street, 38th Boulevard.
A little bit more difficult. Manhattan might be the easiest borough to bomb.
You think so, huh?
I kind of do. Because it's
all the people kind of blend in.
Because everybody's everywhere, right? So it's very easy to go to a lot of different parts of Manhattan and not stand out. Yeah. You will look absolutely different than anything else, but you might not necessarily stand out because there's a whole bunch of weirdos all over the place. Because everybody gravitates towards Manhattan. Manhattan's like the
go-to spot.
You know,
it's a given. It's a tourist central.
You could be from Queens and have never visited Brooklyn. You could be from Brooklyn and have never visited fucking Staten Island. You could be from Staten Island and have never visited the Bronx.
But in retrospect, everyone's gone to Manhattan.
I'll go out on a limb and say that 85% of Staten Island have never been to the Bronx other than a Yankee game. Right? So, you know, everybody goes to Manhattan, though.
It's a fact.
Everybody goes to Manhattan. I'm sure you know at least 2 people in every single borough.
Yes.
I guarantee you call any one of those 2 people.
I already know where you're going, and you're right.
They all have been to Manhattan at least 10 times.
But haven't gone to Staten Island.
Right.
That's a fact.
Right.
That's a fact.
Right. So Manhattan's like the epicenter. So everybody's always there. And you might think like, oh, that makes it more difficult to bomb because there's so many people. So active, it's not dead. See, people get a little confused and they think like sometimes like you can only bomb in an area where it's super dead. Sometimes that makes it more hard. It makes it harder because if
spotlight's on you.
Yeah, if there's nobody around the neighborhood, right? and you're walking around at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's only you and your boy, and the police pull over you. What are you doing here?
Mm-hmm.
And it's in the middle of nowhere. You don't really. What good excuse do you come up with?
A good thing you bring up that I want youngins to understand, and again, my show is geared. It's art, it's music, it's culture. It's people who are passionate about this platform, about the culture, about the music. So you got to understand also is that there are a lot of people who probably come into town, right, who don't even live in New York, just to bomb.
Sure, absolutely.
Just to bomb.
Absolutely.
And I'm always amazed, like, how did you plug into the system? Like, who are you tapping into?
Well, I think social media plays a big part in that.
I would think.
But I think even before social media, that shit was happening. So and it's just all networking. Like,
just like-minded people. Give me your number.
You meet people, through. I don't know how people really linked up exactly.
Right.
During those times, but they did.
I want you to give a little words of advice, little positive gems to artists who are coming up like yourself, young kid coming up, loves the culture. Like where and how can a like-minded person maybe benefit lanes? How does someone even make money from their talents?
Be you.
Okay.
Biggest advice is be you. Like don't try and especially now I'm gonna keep bringing this shit back up, but again, especially in this like social media age, a lot of people live through other people's shit.
Yes.
Through other people's lives.
I hear you.
You know, and a lot of people also like look at other people's lives and like envy it and like, wow, I want to do that. I want to do this. Just do you. Be you. Be you. Don't. People take influence, but don't be so heavily influenced that it's like you're almost a carbon copy of that person. And 9 out of 10 times, you're like the cheapest, fucking most bullshit carbon copy ever.
Word.
Don't do that, bro. Just be you. Just do you. Find your own lane and work with it, bro.
Would you recommend a, I'm gonna say, throw it out there right now. I got a 15-year-old listening to the show, says, Kel, I see your pieces, inspired, love what you do. I want to follow in your footprints. Would you recommend him taking art classes? Would you recommend him getting more tuned in to the scene? How does someone really like focus in on the craft like that?
So if you're approaching me, like, I really appreciate you as an artist, as a painter, and what you do, the canvas work you do, the fine art work you do, right? Because as I said, I separate the two.
Right.
Right. If you're approaching me asking me advice about how you can get involved in that,
right?
I would tell you a whole different. I would tell you a whole different thing as what I was telling you about graffiti. So like, if you're gonna get involved with that, hone your craft, practice, paint a lot, as often as you possibly can. Pay attention to what other people do. Look at techniques. Take from them. But don't steal and replicate.
Yeah, because I'm gonna have people
take what they do and remix it.
I'm like, yo, Kel, how do I do it? I know people are gonna hit me. They're gonna DM me. They're gonna email me.
Well, I can't tell you how you do it.
Kel,
I can only
what's
give
the
you
code?
There's no code.
There is exactly. That was what I wanted you to say.
It's funny because like I've had people that ask me like, they look at my shit and they're like, yo, how do you do that? I need to know what's your secret? But there's no secret, B. It's right. Just it's talent. It's practice and talent and
cheers to the real.
Keep going, So like my advice to you is keep going, right? My advice to you if you're a young writer and you're trying to figure out where to go as a writer, right? Where
does one go?
Be true to whatever's in your heart.
Where does a 13-year-old go?
So like if you feel like you want to go a piecing route and you want to be in the graffiti hall of fame and you want to like do like 5 points type spots, right? Then you should just focus on practicing your craft and nothing else. And nothing else. But if you want to be like in the streets,
that's real, and
you want to bomb, then you better get some fucking paint, stock your shit up, and go out.
Does he have to steal the paint?
Yeah, listen, man.
Is it mandatory to boost the paint? That's a $1 million question.
Get your paint however you get it. Right? If you steal it, get your paint stealing. If you scheme it, get your paint scheming. If you pay for it, get your paint.
Yo, it's funny.
I'm not gonna shit on you, bro. Like,
you can't, man.
Do what you gotta do.
You gotta support.
But my advice: if you're a bomber, go fucking bomb. Get your paint, stock it up, and go bomb. Don't bomb until you have 10 cans, so you can go out and you can do some shit, and bomb and get busy and get up and get busy. But if you really, if I'm really like throwing out advice to fucking youngins, right? If you're not bombing already, I'm not gonna tell you to start bombing. Go the art route. If you got talent, go the art route, as opposed to going bombing, right? Because as great as graffiti is,
that's something I recommend to people.
I can't be an elder and tell you, if you're already in the game,
risk your freedom for fame.
If you're already in the game, you're already in the game.
Right.
Go hard.
100%.
If you're telling me I want to start bombing, I tell you
at 31,
don't even whatever at 12.
Right.
I don't even do it. Don't even do it because it brings a lot of trouble. Brings a lot of drama. Brings a lot of bullshit. You know. So because I don't want to tell you like, do it a little bit so you don't, get caught up with the bullshit. Either do it or don't do it. Either do it hard or don't do it. And if my advice as an elder, as an adult, to somebody who's young and wanting to get into graffiti, I wouldn't tell you to do it. Like, I'm not gonna tell my kids to fucking write graffiti ever. I don't want them to write graffiti. I don't want them to bomb.
Would you be horrified if Sonny comes in talking about I got locked up for graffiti?
Horrified. I wouldn't be horrified, but I wouldn't. I don't want that for them. Like it brings. There's a lot.
I don't have a son, but if I did have a son, it would be like, really? I wanted more for you. You know what I mean?
There's a lot of bullshit that gets attached to graffiti. Yeah. Like if you're really writing and you
a lot of hate,
and you put some time into it, there's a lot of bullshit that it's just not only hate, but like people, places, things, like it fucks. You could really fuck your life up, bro.
Like I told you, and I'm gonna repeat it.
Really fuck your life up.
I to this day feel that graffiti is the realest element, although, Kel just expressed early in this interview he just has other opinions as far as the elements, but I definitely feel that it is the realest of the realest. 99.9% of every graffiti writer I've known, they're just real, man.
Hey, you know what?
They're just real.
You know what, bro? A good percentage of the people that will argue over whether graffiti is an element of hip-hop or not,
right,
are not writers. Even if they got a tag. Because everybody that got a fucking tag is not a writer. Like, for real. Right? I got a bunch of cats in my crew that had tags, that even took tags, but they were not writers. I don't consider them writers, right? Like, it just don't. Like, it's a whole different thing. Like, a writer knows a writer.
Right.
If you're talking to a writer, you know what time it is.
Yeah. And even within the crew, when we talk about writers, who are we talking about? Within this 5MH conglomerate,
so,
who are we talking about?
So 5MH, like the 5MH plague,
right?
Who like were really like the graffiti end of this crew. The plague would be what was me.
Because we got the hood element to the crew.
No, 100%.
We're not talking about the project hood element.
As I told you earlier, 5MH is not a graffiti crew.
Right, we're not talking about the goons.
It just happens to have some graffiti writers in it.
We're not talking about the goons.
So like the graffiti writers in it, there are a number of graffiti writers, but
right.
the plague,
who
were like almost like the
smashing these streets.
They were almost like the street team for 5MH.
That's exactly.
So the plague was me.
Exactly. Go ahead.
BL.
Yes. Shout out to BL.
Suave.
Shout out to Suave.
SVE.
And
Non-Vote. And Jukes. I can't.
Non-Vote was popping.
There's no way.
Jukes,
there's no way in the world that I could ever talk about
my man Buck. That's my man Buck, son. Yo, my man.
I love that you just call him Buck.
I love it to this day that I introduced him to Suave. I never would have thought that this introduction would have blasted off into classic shit.
Yo.
You know what I mean?
Jukes, let me tell you one thing about Jukes, right? As far as my generation of graffiti writers, bombers in particular. My generation of graffiti bombers, style-wise, and I've said this before, I think Jukes is one of the most underrated writers, style-wise, from my generation of bombers.
Yeah, he was dope.
He was doper than most people even know.
walking for Dolo.
If I showed you some black book shit that I have from him, the
Killing
funky, crazy shit, like
Killing it, right?
You wouldn't even know. Right?
Killing it.
So,
killing it. He's definitely talented, and it was an amazing thing with Loft. I have clear examples of him wilding out in the hallways of Loft, catching fucking with the Griffin, with the fucking old school. You know, you buff
For
up
sure.
your fucking
For
shoes.
sure.
You know, so people don't
For
know.
sure.
You gotta tell them.
I mean, there's a number of other writers from 5MH that rep 5MH and that have been down. But I want to say like the core of like the plague bombing was like me, BL, Swag, Juke, Nonvo. Boom.
Amazing.
Then there's like, like my boy Peppy, 1-800 Get Vamp. Peppy got like the freight scene locked. And he's a Brooklyn street bombing cat.
Great.
But you know, like went to the freights and just like locked it down.
Smashed
and kinged it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm talking about like thousands of cars under his belt.
Right.
You know, and then it's like, you know, you got cats right now that's crushing, you know, getting busy and shit, crushing in the streets that are repping the crew like fucking Mr. 420 over here.
Yeah.
He's getting busy.
Smashing.
You know what I'm saying?
Shit.
A lot of tags.
Smashing
tags
shit.
and tags and
Smashing
tags
shit.
and tags and tags. And despite what he thinks,
Yeah, smashes.
despite what he thinks, feelings still go over tags.
You know
but,
what I
you know,
you're
still crew. So
yeah, I heard
no
about
matter
that.
what-
I heard
no
about that
matter what.
random beef, but you know,
Nah,
it's-
there's no
it's-
beef.
It's
No
the
beef.
it's the old school
wasn't
that
beef, wasn't beef.
that you know.
I
Feelings
got-
over tags.
I
That's
got 420s back over
that's
anybody else.
That's graffiti rules.
but I will
101.
still tell them what's what.
Wait, hold on.
What I think is what.
And before we wrap it up, are there rules with graffiti in the sense of you don't write on houses, churches? What's going on with this?
I mean, there are a number of unwritten rules.
Because I've heard other interviews with
some-
graffiti writers that
some
say we
people
bomb on
stray.
everything, on cars, on all that, and I'm like, word.
I mean, listen.
Shout out to Kes 5.
I wouldn't bomb people's personal cars. I wouldn't bomb.
Shout out to Vexer.
I wouldn't do fillings on churches.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or whatever the case. Zexa, rest in peace, bro.
Word.
You brought, not that he did films on churches and that.
No, we're not saying that. That's not what we're saying.
You mentioned his name and
Yeah, legends. I just
Zexa
popping
was-
legends.
Zexa's a young.
That's from daytime bombing. Wildin'.
Zexa was a young lord, a young king.
Yeah,
like,
man.
And unfortunately really passed way before his prime.
New York
before he
legend.
should have.
Yes,
Fuck graffiti, man. He passed way before like he should have.
Young.
He's young, bro.
Young.
And it's crazy because I was like cool with his pops. When I found out that his pops used to write ass for like a real Bushwick legend. You know, grimy Bushwick.
I didn't know that.
Dude, right. And like I knew his pops, so like I met Zex and he was cool, whatever, and you know, we had a cool exchange or whatever. But I didn't think much past it, much of it past that.
Right.
Then I bumped into him another time and I was with my man Pep. And Pep was like, yo, you know who his pops is? And I was like, nah, and he told me and I was bugging out. I was like, oh shit. And then the next time I seen him, I had a different reaction to him. Cause I was like, yo, bro, I know your father, B. Like that's crazy to me.
Right.
That like,
hell yeah.
you know, that's crazy. Me and you were over here like we're fucking painting this truck together. And I used to, you know, be cool with your pops. That wasn't my man. Like not like we were friends like that.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
that was
yeah.
that was my man in passing. Like
Yeah,
he was cool. I knew him and shit. And it's bugged out, bro.
Yo.
Well, I
Health,
cried when
health
Zexa,
is wealth, man. Health is wealth.
I cried my eyes out when Zexa died, and it's not even because we were like the crazy, super close, but he was
In his prime, man.
He was such a genuine cat, man. Like,
Amen.
And a lot of the conversations that I used to have with him wasn't even about graffiti. We used to talk about like life shit,
Right.
about depression and like just trying to like get through life. And
Yep.
yo, Zex was a good dude, man, with a good
dude.
heart,
Yep.
man, and like
Yep. That's why I shouted him out real quick. I thought
Yeah,
about him.
man. A
I
lot
met
of
him.
love for Zex.
I
And
met
he
him
was a-
minimal times.
And he
cool
was a young,
dude.
he was a young motherfucking king, bro.
Yeah.
Like he was like had he lived,
He knew he was on
had
his shit.
He had another 10 years.
Yeah,
of
he
fucking
knew he was
graft
on his
running
shit.
in him, and he
Yeah.
was bigger and better than and a lot of these niggas that are out right now.
I agree
bro.
with you, brother. I
Yo,
agree with you. I
Long
agree
live
with you.
Zexa. And New York fucking put it on for that brother when he died.
Amen.
When that young brother passed, man, New York put it on for him.
That's a fact.
People were getting busy for
That's
him.
a fact.
Man.
And that goes back. Yo, shout him out, man. Shout him out.
Zexa WCO R.I.P. forever.
Big facts.
Yo, Arc 911 R.I.P. because that's my brother.
Hell
Mike,
yeah.
Big Kev.
Yo, hold on.
Animal, Seti.
Wait, before we leave, I gotta yo Dave. Before we leave, I gotta say, man, a quick funny story with Arc. Mad funny, man. I make you laugh. So
you got a story with Arc. I love it.
Yeah, I love it. Right.
I can't wait.
So I'm in the Ville with Deep. Right. Didn't realize that Deep had beef with Sabe. Didn't realize this shit. Walking through, we're fucking bombed out of our faces. Right. I get approached coming out the store. They're like, "Yo, your CA's cousin, param." And I'm like, "Nah, who the fuck is CA?" At this time, I had no idea who CA was. Right. Yo, bro, they're rolling like 300 deep. Yo, heavy, son, on West 8th, right? So long story short.
RFC.
Long story short, I'm not even going to front, man. Yo, he was like, son, everything good. Come roll with us. We going to go boost. We living off the land. I was like, word? All right, let me go chill with you. Son, we walked from West 8th all the way to like probably 88th. And we just terrorized every bodega, every store, every fucking franchise, son.
Arc was one of the realest people.
He's a cool dude, son.
Arc was one of the realest cats that I ever met in my life. Cool dude. Like, you know, you meet people that like they say like, yo, I keep it real, right? You know, but
he showed a lot of love, man.
Everybody gets like a little nervous in a situation.
Right.
I don't give a fuck who you are.
Right.
At some point,
right.
You get a little nervous in a situation.
Right.
Not to say Arc never got nervous, but I never seen it. Ever. In my life. I never seen it. I seen him step to 2 people and 25 people on his own. With no hesitation. No thinking in his mind like I'm stepping to these 25 dudes and I got another 40 people down the block for me. Right. Nothing. Just him dolo. Like I seen him in fucking in a skate key. With beef with niggas, he grabbed the fucking phone and started swinging the phone at motherfuckers. 20, what? Fuck you niggas want?
Yo,
like,
love it, son.
Arc was a warrior.
Nah, he was a good dude,
Arc was
son.
A genuine dude.
The few times I bumped into the Ville, anytime I be walking dolo, doing my own boosts and shit, he be like, yo, what's poppin', fam? What's good? I be like, yo, what's good, son? He was a good dude, son. He was good.
Arc was my brother, man.
Yeah, he was a good guy.
I got a lot of love for Arc, man. He got, you know, so nobody, you know, for the audience that doesn't know, Arc 911, he's an LES native, he was a writer, he was a booster, he was a dealer, he was a money maker,
I know him with the booster.
He was a hustler, he did everything that you could think of.
Yeah.
And he was the wildest, craziest, most genuine motherfucker that you ever met in your life, right? And you don't want beef with Arc. Believe me. I seen him lose a gemstone in somebody's face.
Yeah,
like that shit's gone.
Yeah.
I put that shit so deep, it shit's gone. You stuck. You got that shit in your cheek. The hospital got to fish that shit out.
And it's funny because he gave me love because when Deep Rollin', when he had the beef, I had to step up to the plate, not realizing that it was like, you know, 100 people with North Faces on.
I kind of forgot that Deep had a little drama with RFC at some point.
Yeah. It was a little heavy. You know what I mean?
I think Busta spanked him at some point.
He was about to.
Maybe I'm wrong.
And then again, it's funny.
I'm not talking shit about Deep. Listen.
Nah, shout out to Deep out there in San Bernardino. You know what I mean?
Where he moved to Cali.
Yeah, he moved to Cali. He's out there. Deep? You know what I mean?
San Bernardino. That's where. Wait. That's Wait. Why am I? That's What the fuck is the movie?
San Bernardino?
No, there was a movie with it from San Bernardino. You know it. It's an 80s movie.
Dave, we need to find that out.
No, wait.
What's San Bernardino?
The where they go back in time. Fuck you, man. What's the name of it?
Bill and Ted?
Bill and Ted. That they're from San Bernardino. Bill and Deep. Bill and Deep's Adventures.
Yo, he's a wild dude.
Shout out to Deep.
Yo, but Deep, I'm not gonna front. Deep. Yo, he was a boosting. Yo, I clearly remember him and Dover. We almost got back to Averex. These assholes walked out with like 12 jackets. I'm like, yo, fam, how ya? What the fuck?
Listen.
Some people got the gift of gab to just get over. They blend in. They look non-assuming. You know what I mean? So the security not on them.
Some people have boosted the most craziest shit that I've ever. Like, I'm like, how do you even do that shit?
Word.
Right? Like I boosted a lot. Right? That was a big part of my life growing up.
Big part of the culture. Why is that? Yo, boosting is a big part of our culture.
Because motherfuckers are broke.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
I don't think there's any other reason
That's a
why.
fact.
I mean, listen. Sometimes you like I'm in my 40s now, right? And I don't boost. I don't go racking anymore. I'm out on missions.
No, I don't need to.
I'm out on missions.
But there was a point that I was
if
boosting steak. I was boosting
but
anything
listen,
I can.
But if I'm in a store today, if I leave here and I go to the store, right, and I'm buying a sandwich or some shit, and dude is behind the counter making my sandwich, and I want some chips or a drink or some gum or some cheese, and opportunity is there, I'm putting that shit in my fucking pocket. And it's not because I don't have the money to pay for it. It's because, it's because I can.
It's a fucking wolf. That's
because
the wolf
I
in
can,
you, baby.
I know I can.
It's
and
the wolf in you.
Maybe
it's that long wolf shit.
Maybe the old habits die hard. I don't know.
Amen.
But I think most people get into boosting because they don't got the bread.
Bro, that's a big part of my culture.
I don't think people that are like really, like, come from a like really well-off background, really
boosting.
rich or West,
are making Lizzie bags.
I don't
right?
think that they get into it to boost unless they're getting into it because they want to be a part of a different kind of lifestyle or culture or whatever.
I can see that. Makes a lot of sense.
But I think the reason why people in general like get into boosting is because they want something that they can't afford to purchase.
And listeners, when we saying boost, again,
racking, boosting, stealing, shoplifting,
whatever you want to call it. Shoplifting might be,
stealing.
when I say boosting, the best word that goes with that is shoplifting.
Yeah.
That's the best word because again,
but
I put boosting to clothes, but as I got older, it became boosting is anything. It could be soap, cereal. It could be whatever you need.
When you talk to me about boosting or you talk to me about racking,
right?
I find that different if you're talking to me about somebody who like steals shit.
Right.
So if like you know you go in a store and you're just a klepto and you like steal shit just because that's what you do.
Right.
I think that's different than if you're like planning out a mission to like rack, like loot racking, like racking. Going on a mission out of state to rack tampons or fucking or Tylenol.
Well, listen,
or Infamils or whatever, and then going to flip them uptown, and then there's like a system.
Right.
You understand?
That's a big fact.
It's different.
That's a big fact.
It's different. Even when racking clothes, there's a system. Me and BL used to have. BL stole a fucking the Lizzie gun.
I remember that.
For people who don't know, Lizzie's are alarms.
Yeah.
So they stole a little gun that takes off the alarms. And we fucking destroyed every mall in New Jersey.
Just going bananas.
That we could get to.
Bananas.
Stole it.
All in.
I destroyed it with just walking in and
I remember smashing the Newport Mall for probably like 3 jackets. Quick.
It's different than like. So somebody stealing the fucking the Lizzie gun and going on a mission and mapping out the malls that they want to get to or the spots they want to get to rack, or somebody boosting like Infamils to flip to the bodega and get money.
Right.
I think that's different than just somebody shoplifting.
I agree with
somebody
you.
walking in CVS and stealing like
different hustle,
fucking
different grind.
a piece of candy.
Facts.
Or whatever.
Facts.
It's a different thing.
Different grind.
You know what I'm saying?
Big fact.
Way different.
But
like, it's almost like a lifestyle.
Facts.
You know?
And it's all that real New York underground culture because Lord knows I used to have plenty of people knocking on my door on Sundays, Friday nights. Yo, I got soap for you. Because it was the local crackheads that knew how to boost.
Right, so look.
They knew how to really boost batteries, all that.
So in the social media age, right, you see all the memes this year about the PS5s. Oh, if this was 1990s, crackheads are slacking these days. I would have been had a PS5. But that shit is true. Them motherfuckers came to you. They were like the neighborhood what the fuck is that?
Yo, that's Lord knows.
What's that channel? The fucking channel that sells shit.
Oh, the like PSB, whatever this was. Yeah,
QVC.
QVC.
They were the neighborhood QVC.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Yo, you need speakers. Boom. Hit fucking this motherfucker. Tell him, you need speakers.
Yo, shout out to all the OG crackheads that's still out there, man.
You can even make requests. Yo, I'm looking for this, that, and the third. And
shout out. That's a fact, son. Yo, shout out to all the
They'll come back to you in a week and a half. Yo,
the real crackheads out there, East New York,
you wanted the
Coney
Pioneer
Island.
360s? I got them, son. I found them.
That's a big fact. That's a big fact.
So,
I hear you, man. I hear you, man.
I think stealing and racking are two different things.
I hear you.
I'm getting the spin around. I think we're supposed to wrap it up.
We gotta wrap it up soon. So listen, once again, we're gonna do the do. We're gonna wrap it up with Kel. We're gonna do it, and I'm glad you came down.
Yes, sir.
I'm glad at least someone.
Appreciate the invite.
Of course, all day, every day, man. This is real New York culture out here, man. You got a legend on the fucking A-Waves right now, you heard? So hopefully that there's a youngin' that listen to this who's inspired by Graph. I'm sure there might be someone that's cut of the age that saw some feelings that you have, that you're probably inspired, that you don't even know about. You know what I mean? You might bump into him one day, you be like, listen, I saw those feelings and I was inspired.
Hey, if you're younger and you're bombing already, bomb hard. If
Facts.
you're young and you're not bombing already, don't bomb. Figure out a way to make money.
Facts. So, yo, once again, man, I got Kel 5MH, man. This is art. This is music. This is culture. This is Cheers to the Real podcast.
Peace.
Screaming, cheers to the real. Good vibes only. Putting in work and recipes to all the homies, yeah.